Today we're going to talk about the different ways how the simple wires, just the wires in your car, can cost you thousands of dollars. Let's get started. This is a 2012 Dodge Challenger 392. It's kind of like the Scat Pack, but they hadn't come out with a Scat Pack yet. This is just the 392 SRT. It's very, very nice car. But wiring has caused this customer a tremendous amount of headaches. Before we jump into the Challenger, I want to give you another update on the R8. You guys just saw a video on where we're getting it back together, and Danielson started the task of pulling those pesky wires out. I wanted to show you just how bad it can get. So here we are with this cart full of wires. Not a cart full of parts, but a cart full of wires. Danielson got all the wiring, everything that was packed into this car, finally pulled out. It's really strange to me because in the Lamborghini Gallardo community and also the R8 community, there's a big push for people doing rear-wheel drive conversions for the sake of saving weight. 95 pounds, supposedly, it saves. I'm not going to be doing that. But the same people are also driving around with 95 pounds of audio equipment in their car, so they didn't save anything. This is a mess, guys. When he got it out on the table, I just stared at it for like 5 minutes. I couldn't believe it. And like I mentioned in the previous Audi video, I've done a lot of this to a ton of supercars. Let's take a look. Here we have two Alpine amps, a Rockford Fosgate interactive signal processor, and instead of just using the wire they needed, where they might have needed 1 or 2 feet of wire, they just rolled up the excess and stuffed it up behind the interior panels. There's bundles and bundles and bundles of wires, RCA cables, power cables, relays. Here we have a speaker that was behind the driver. It's a subwoofer that ran off of one of those amps, and it's just hideous. It's out. I'm going to be putting the stock grill, stock speakers. I'm surprised how heavy this thing is. By itself probably weighs 30 or 40 pounds. It is so heavy. This is a lot of a wiring, like I'll show you here, that was hacked into the main audio harness, and it was such a terrible job. Danielson actually came and got me. He said, "Wizard, I need to show you this." There's just really crappy wiring. They just twisted them together and just hacked it to pieces. He got it sorted all out. Everything's back very well done. He uses aircraft quality connectors and things. But look, there's more. Bundles and bundles of mega fuses. There's a big fuse. There's a mega super monster fuse. All kinds of more audio cables. This stuff by itself is all copper cables, and it's heavy within itself. If you buy one of these cars and you don't want all of this in your car, it can cost you a lot of money to have it removed. This takes a lot of time. Danielson spent an entire day of carefully pulling all this stuff out and putting it back to stock. An entire day of labor. Let's head back to that Challenger and take a look around it. So here's the front of the Challenger. I really like the look of them. And it doesn't have splitter guards. I'm so excited about that. I hate them. And it looks so nice and fresh and clean without them. And SRT wheels, which are looking fine. They look very nice on this car. Kind of a dark gray. No scratches, no dents. And around the back end, just as nice, reminiscent of the old Challengers, the old days. SRT8 it says on there. And equally as nice on that side as well. Let's go under the hood. So we have the intake off of this 392 Hemi, and it's a big mess under here that we found. You guys know I work on a lot of different cars. You name it, I've probably worked on it. And usually the repairs are pretty straightforward and they get through the shop quickly. I wish life was as easy to fix like that. Everything is going great until something happens and it feels like your entire life is on a roller coaster you can't get off. I remember when Mrs. Wizard and I opened this shop, I was working a steady job making good money. I walked away from it with no guaranteed paycheck. It was very stressful for months and months. We worked hard and got through it somehow. It would have been nice to have someone to talk to, ask questions, and get fresh ideas from a new perspective. That's where BetterHelp could have helped. the sponsor of today's video. They're on a mission to make starting therapy easier, and it is so easy to get started. Just fill out a quick questionnaire, and they will match you with a therapist in as little as a couple of days. If you don't like your match, you can easily switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. You can trust BetterHelp. They have over 7,000 reviews and a 4.3 rating on Trustpilot. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below or go to betterhelp.com/carwizard to get 10% off your first month of therapy. Hey, just click the link and get off life's bad roller coaster and start getting your life back in control. Now back to this Challenger. So the customer brought it in with a code, a check engine light for a cam adjuster solenoid circuit. They themselves put a new solenoid in. It didn't solve anything, and that's where they said, I'm done, I give up. So before we dive in to figure out what exactly happened here, let's do the quickest interior review ever. Take it away, Mrs. Wizard.
Okay, it's got 90,647 miles, and the next best thing in this car is it's a 6-speed manual. We've seen the interior of these before, so we're not going to show you another one because they all look the same time after time. So that's it for our interior review today. Let's get back to the engine bay. Okay, Wizard, that was a really quick interior review because the interior of that car smells.
It smells like mothballs, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's bad.
Very strong. There's a reason for it. Mice. Rodent damage. This customer knows from some things we're going to show you today that mice have been tampering around in here and doing some damage. Their attempt to kind of scare them away or to deter them is with mothballs. And yes, it smells bad, but they're hoping that the damage will stop. Sometimes you might have to get a pest control service involved to really get it taken care of. I've seen that have to happen before. But let's talk about what we see under the hood. So when we first opened the hood, I started seeing right away something's been clawing, tearing, and ripping and chewing at the insulation on the hood. Even on the firewall, something's been digging and ripping out the stuffing and insulation to make a nest. This little cover here, you can see that they've also been chewing and ripping it. There's a hole through this side, all the way clean through. But wait, there's more. It gets way worse. It's not just the stuffing and things that have been chewed on, but the customer mentioned they fixed a few wires while they had it apart. Let me show you where those are. There's some wiring here that's been repaired. It's just kind of bare. I think the customer or somebody, whoever worked on it, replaced some of that wiring. But the first thing we saw before we took the intake off is on the card over here. I'll show you. There is a fuel hose that goes between the fuel rails on the intake, and look what they've done to it, guys. I mean, it's almost all the way through. It would just take a really hot day or a hot engine bay to cause a small crack, and it would be a mist of gas, and it would be disco inferno underneath the hood, all because of a mouse. Can't let it go that way because you know it's going to burst at some point and it's going to cause a fire. We've already replaced it with high pressure fuel injection hose. Take a look. Here's where that line that was chewed on was. We got some high pressure hose, hoping that the mice will no longer be interested in chewing on raw rubber, and some nice ear clamps on that are very, very strong with those serrated, very heavily serrated fittings there. So that should take care of that issue. Then we got the intake off. There's a foam insulation under that. And you can see they basically burrowed into it. And there's some kind of orange foam that we vacuumed out. There was so much of it. Let me show you guys on the engine. So here we see under the intake, there's all of this red-orange foam. We've got most of it. We got a little bit more to get out. But it's still a lot of it under here. There's a big chunk there. Nothing we took apart has orange foam, so that means the mice are somewhere else in the car where there's some orange insulation, and they've brought back those pieces and debris and stuffed it underneath the intake. I'm not sure where it is. It could be in the dash. It could be, I don't know. But they definitely have been somewhere in the car getting that orange insulation torn up. They had the code, like I mentioned, for the cam adjuster solenoid circuit. Let me show you where the solenoid is. So on these Hemis, they don't have overhead cams. So the cam is in the center of the engine, just like your grandpa's Chevy 350. And just like the starter on a Northstar V8, you have to take the intake off to even get to it. Here it is. So there's our brand new adjuster. It works fine. But the customer did check this wiring, suspecting maybe it got chewed. There's no issue with this wiring directly under the intake, luckily. However, so right here is the other side of the connector for that solenoid wiring. I'm touching and jiggling it with my finger. We've got it temporarily repaired to see if this is a solution to the problem, and we got very lucky. When we found the back side of that connector, there's a blue wire and a grayish brown wire. They both were completely severed in half. And you can see the teeth marks where a mouse had been chewing and they ripped it in half. There's why we had a constant check engine light for circuit. Anytime you see circuit in the word of a code, it's rarely ever the sensor or the solenoid that's bad. Circuit means wiring issues. Sure enough, a mouse chewed them through. We got them repaired and checked everything out. It's happy again. We did find several other wires back there. They're not chewed through, but they have teeth marks on them. We repaired those, getting the harnesses put back together. We had to take the intake clear off to even get back there to get to them. But once we get all these solved, the check engine light's going to go away. It'll run fine and do what it's supposed to do. Some other wiring issues I've seen have been caused by these. Trashy, crappy Scotch locks is what they're called. It's usually trailer wiring. It's usually trailers. People show up, say, my trailer lights died on me. I got to get this load hauled out and my lights don't work. I'm in a hurry. Can you get this fixed? This is years ago. I don't work on trailers anymore. But get underneath the trailer. There's 20 of those Scotch locks everywhere. And they're green with corrosion, almost like they've been at the bottom of the ocean for 20 years. Those things are terrible. Don't use them. Do a proper repair. Scotch locks are the worst wiring connection that you can do in all wiring. They are bad. That cost that customer $1,000. That was probably 10 or 15 years ago, maybe even longer than that. We had to go through and rewire everything because it had shorted out, it had melted wiring. We had to rewire the entire trailer. It was a big, big job, all because of Scotch locks. Another thing that can also do damage is corrosion, like on the bottom of a car where grounds are. You can have a bad ground causing haywire, especially on the 2003, 4, 5 Chevy GMC trucks. They have grounds underneath, like in this picture here, that bolt to the frame. And when they lose connection or break or rust through or whatever, your gauges start acting up or gauges die altogether. It starts doing weird stuff and you start replacing and spending money on this part and that part, only to find out it was just a wire, a bad connection. Modern cars, like a car we had years ago, they make their wiring harnesses, the wiring insulation, out of corn-based products. And it smells like, to the mouse, it smells like corn. So they think it's food. There's certain cars that I've worked on where mice have gone through and just stripped all the wires bare, eating the insulation and causing havoc. Thousands of dollars of damage, entire harnesses. You have to pull the interior apart, pull harnesses out of the car, all because of a pesky mouse. One thing I want to talk about, another story, kind of a crazy customer story. I've had a few customers in the past where they have an electrical problem, they're not sure what it is, and I find something like this, which this customer has been fine, very, very nice customer. But I find something like this on this car where mice have just wreaked havoc, and they fight me. The customer says, oh no, I don't have mice in my house. No, I don't have a dirty house. Yeah, it must be something else. It can't be mice. Finally, one guy said, come down and take a look. And we happened to be showing him all the wiring and we heard some digging going on. I opened his air cleaner and a mouse jumped out. I said, do you see now you have mice at your house? I said, that didn't come from my shop. Oh yeah, I need to get a pest expert out there. Yes, you have mice. Don't fight your mechanic on it. I know you don't want to admit, some people are like, oh no, I don't have mice at my house, in my garage. This guy does. And I fixed probably at least 100 cars in my career or more where they've had mice damage. So it definitely is something to look into. Some people don't like killing rodents or killing animals, so you may not be into poisons or rat traps or mouse traps where it kills them. You might they have traps that captures them, but it doesn't kill them. Then you can take them and let them go out in the wild somewhere far away from your house. But if it gets bad enough, you may have to call a pest service to come out. Because it can get bad enough where they're having babies wherever their nest is, and then those babies have babies, and before you know it, you can literally have 20 animals or mice all through your car. I had a car one time where we pulled the dash apart. They had gotten into the HVAC box, and when we opened it up, there was at least 10 mice that came running out. They can really explode in the population if you don't get it in check. Another way that wiring can cost you thousands, in the early 90s, Mercedes-Benz came out with a eco-friendly, biodegradable wiring harnesses in their cars. We all know about, if you're into collecting older Mercedes, those years are ones really to avoid because the insulation just breaks down. It breaks down a lot faster than it was supposed to. It was supposed to be maybe 50 years from now, starts breaking down and be safe for the environment. But they're breaking down at 10, 15, 20 years. And it just goes down to bare wires, and then they all touch, and it's a complete nuclear meltdown of your whole car. There's actually a link in the description below to a video of an SL600 we worked on quite a while back. It was so bad that it was totaled. It was mechanically totaled. It would have cost thousands on top of more thousands to fix it. So keep that in mind if you're looking for those years of Mercedes. Another thing you want to look at when you go to buy a car, look around, look at all the wiring. I have seen people do self-repairs or do-it-yourself repairs with their cars using Romex house wiring. And just various or speaker wires to run cabling for a mass airflow sensor or something. Definitely check into that stuff because if they didn't do a good job, it can short circuit and have a meltdown. So there is tons of ways that wiring can cost you thousands of dollars. Not the sensors, not the computers, not the pistons, not the fuel pump, just the wires can cost you thousands of dollars in your car. So it's definitely something to check into if you're looking to buy a car or to keep an eye on if you're changing your oil or doing some maintenance at your house. Look around for stuff like this. You start noticing evidence of rodents, it's time to take action now, not 6 months from now. So if you're curious what kind of tools we use to work on this Challenger or the R8 or other cars in the shop, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. All the tools we use in the shop is listed for sale there. If you purchase anything, we get a small cut and really appreciate it. Next week's schedule is full to the max, which means tons more videos for you guys. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.